Yo, what's up? What is happening? Welcome to another episode of the Red Leg Podcast with me, your host, the Big Chief. I hope everybody's doing well. Shit, I'm scrolling through TikTok. Um, the Viva La Vargas account, shout out to him, is talking about the two airmen that were plotting to take over Haiti and enslave the population. You have sex slaves. I swear, man, there is bipolar mania, and then there is white man bipolar mania, and it can be through the roof. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when them two white boys was plotting all this. Like I said, man, I would love to be white for one day, just one day, because I know I wouldn't like it too much, but I would just love to just see what kind of schemes and ideas I come up with in my white brain. But yeah, man, uh, interesting. What else is going on? I don't think this is going to be a long episode because I'm still tired from that nap that I took earlier. Because I did peyote last weekend. I highly suggest my fellow veterans, man. Psychedelic therapy is the way to go, man. It is. Um, I ain't gonna say too much because the feds be watching, but let me see. Then I am. So I called switching gears. I called the VR&E people back, and I just told them, I was like, I talked to one young lady, and I was like, I need to talk to a supervisor because I'm not trying to go through this whole appeals process. So I got another appointment on the 8th, and I'm just going to be a little bit more real with them, forthright. Like, look, I can't. I'm trying. Look. I don't like the fact that I told. I'll be like, I didn't like the fact that I told this woman that I can't I can't work a job, and me trying to apply for jobs is over. It's like I'm not my mental. I can't do it. And then she just gives me a list of um, resources, and it's like, why do you even have this uh, self employment option available? So we'll see where it goes. I remember I had a platoon sergeant tell me like, "Yo, don't take no for an answer." So I applied it with my life. Well, except when it comes to the sex, consent is key, but don't take no for an answer, especially during your military career. Like, do what your rank can handle. But definitely once you get out, definitely do not take no for an answer. Because with the VA, it's going to be a fight, but you got to fight. You got to be down for the fight. Don't be afraid to like talk to the supervisor, talk to somebody higher, talk to somebody until you get the answer that you want. And I'm like, all I want is all I want is a MacBook or a new laptop, um, and or what am I'm trying to say, a stipend, because I'm not trying to deal with the Montgomery GI Bill, because once again I'm done with school. Like I'm not doing another school program, and I don't want to do the whole take a loan out so then I can then reimburse. That is nah. I'm not going down that route. So yeah, we gonna get this thing rolling. Cause I'm gonna tell them like, just let me get the laptop, let me get the stipend. I got 12 months of benefits. Shit, I'll just even take no, I want the stipend, but I can compromise, so I'll take the laptop. I'm like, y'all can just wipe the 12 months off my account, and you ain't never got to deal with me again. Because I want to, I want to get to that point where I'm not living off my benefits. No, I think more of myself than that. I have this big brain up here, and I just need a little bit of support. Like I'm not asking for a lot. Um, so stay tuned. Let's see. What do I feel like talking about first? Do I want to talk about Sarn Collins or do I want to talk about this book? We'll do Sarn Collins first and get that thing knocked out. So, if you're not on TikTok, there's this young lady. I think yes, Staff Sergeant Collins, black chick. Um, it's interesting. I feel like I had deja vu with this story because I remember initially when I heard about a soldier getting counseled on IG Live, and initially I was like, "What?" And I really didn't look too much into it. I guess it wasn't getting as big of a fanfare then as it is now. But I was like, I didn't know it was an NCO getting counseled. She was getting counseled by her commander, and I'm like, I'm confused because it was a captain counseling her. When do y'all do that? When do y'all do that? And I know there's gonna be somebody saying like, "Oh, you're a veteran, and why are you even talking about it?" I'm trying to tell you, dog. Um, it's like athletes can talk about the game. Why can't I? I got 7 years of experience, and yeah, played the game at a high level. But yeah, why was there a captain counseling a soldier? Like I don't know. I don't know too much about the whole thing. I just know what I hear on TikTok. I don't know. I think this is an active duty unit because they're kicking this girl out. They gave her a 5-day notice, so it's got to be active. But do they do this in support units? Because in a combat arms land back in my day, my artillery battery, we wasn't even most you the most officer interaction that you would get was with your PL, and that was it. And it was a lieutenant. You if you had to and you may say what's up to, your battery commander. Um and if you had to be in the battery commander's office, it was not a good day for you. Um so yeah, I was confused by that. And why is the commander uh doing a counseling on IG Live? Like this social media game is gonna get it's getting a lot of military personnel fucked up. And but before we even get there, why are we here? The actions of Sergeant Collins. That's how we got to this place. And it's funny seeing the commentary on there because my favorite takes are the pandering niggas on TikTok. Like, just stay strong, queen, and you have a target on your back, and bruh, yo, how do I want to say this? Uncle Sam is not gonna fuck with you unless you give Uncle Sam a reason to fuck with you. Now I know things are different for women in the military. Trust me, I understand. It's a totally different world over there. Um, but I feel like if you do your job, check Roger Hua, things are gonna be a lot smoother. But all this over social media, it's just there needs to be a come on Venezuela, come on man, God send these motherfuckers to war because seeing the things that are being tripped over about or being making a big deal of, it's like is that serious? Is it that serious? I'm glad that social media wasn't that big when I was in. because it's a trap. That's all it is. It is a trap. It's funny seeing soldiers talk about, oh, you know, in their bio, like, oh, it's I don't represent this. These video doesn't represent DOD or DOW, where they. Yes, it does. As soon as you raise your right hand and take that oath to defend, you know, how to honor, defend the you know what I'm talking about, the oath to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign domestic. Yes, you are owned by everything about you is owned by Uncle Sam. Your words, the way you talk, the way you walk, everything you do represents the military. So stop with that dumb shit, man. Like, my goodness, man. I feel like these leaders are failing their soldiers, and it's I don't know. I'll see different parts of it. I'll see a different spectrum of the army. I think what has me still having faith in it is when they just show the straight up them doing the mission. There we go. When I just see, you know, artillery doing artillery, and you know, when everybody's doing their job, it's a beautiful thing. But then there's other shit. It's all like, man, come on now. But yeah, I guess they giving old Sergeant Collins a 5 day notice to get her ass up out the army. And I would just say to people just, you know, that are in, if you out, who gives a fuck? You free. Uh, Watch your words, because they looking. And to be out here pulling out a cape for somebody when you don't know the whole situation. That's why I was all like, yo, when I was a chief, man, my responsibility was my soldiers. That was it. It was me and my soldiers. And if any other soldier would try to come and ask me about some stuff, I'd be like, yo, have you talked to your chief first? First thing I would ask, have you talked to your chief first? Because I'm not trying to have no other chief, you know, blow, you know what, why'd you tell them that? Or my thing was, I was not going to undermine another chief's authority. And that's what I feel like is happening with social media, because a lot of these soldiers are very, they're influenced, easily influenced. Well, everybody's can be easily influenced, but especially young soldiers, like influence is super easy. Like what you like, if I had a soldier tell me, oh well, I heard this NCO say this on TikTok, and it would dictate their actions about their job, man, I would smoke the dog shit out of them. Like for real. How about yo? Are they your chief? Are they signing? You doing your counselings? Are they keeping up with your keeping up for you in their leaders book? Do they know how many, you know, you got, if you got kids, or you know what your home life is like, a spouse? Do they deal with all that? No, man, get the fuck out of my face. Go do some push-ups. So yeah, we'll see what happens with this. I know the military does need to tighten up with the social media, man. They do. And I think that's all I got to say about that. I'm gonna close out with this. I'm still working Red Leg Volume 3, chipping away at it, like bit by bit. Like writing a book. Did I say this already? But writing a book when you've got ADHD and all these distractions is an Olympic sport. But I am glad that I'm over the halfway mark. So Red Leg Volume 3 is um it's about my first trip to Iraq. And it's gonna be my first trip to Iraq, and I'm gonna end it with me leaving Germany. And so I'm just thinking the approach. I just need to get through this deployment, because and I have been able to write this book, is just I put bullet points. Like I have bullet points, and then so I write around the bullet points. And then as far as anything like fillers, like talking about like how I talked about what was going on in Bakuba before we left for Warhorse, I just go to Chat GPT and ask like, hey, what was going on in Bakuba from 2000 around 2000, the summer of 2008? What was the roles of 2SCR? And and then I'm at the point where we're right before we move to the combat outpost, which I got to talk about that. Got to talk about the night missions we're on. I got to talk about. I need to bring up. I think even I can't remember. See, that's the thing. I'm not letting the timeline of events stop me from writing this book because I'm like, damn, we did do air assault missions, so I got to talk about that. And this damn washing machine is getting on my fucking nerves. Oh well, y'all gonna have to hear it. I might put some music on the background. We'll see how I feel. But yeah, I gotta talk about just getting through the end of this deployment. Get into how lonely I felt when I got back from Iraq because I told my parents not to come because I was gonna be going on block leave anyways. So I was like I didn't see the point. But man, it was like getting home. I was happy. I was happy to be leaving Iraq, and but once you got in that auditorium, and the families are greeting the other soldiers, and it's you and the single soldiers, and then you go back to your room, your barracks room, and dog, that first night, man, it was by my. I didn't have a roommate, and I was by myself. And I don't know if I linked up with Steffi. That's the German chick that I was fucking with before I left for Iraq. Um, I don't know if I hooked up with her that night or the night after, or sometime that week. And it's like, damn, you do 15 months in Iraq, and you just saw like the fuck, It's like I've never done a prison bid, but I would like to think that it was somewhat similar. Like, damn, you happy to be home, but you don't know how to be home. And going through talking about those emotions. Um, I think once we got back to work, like once we got back, after leave and getting into routine, it was back to getting ready to go to another deployment, and you're like, all right, you didn't really have time to think about what you spent like we what you spent 15 months of your life doing. And I got to talk about block leave and just dealing with my ex-wife, and well, she wasn't my ex-wife at the time, but just all that. And just dealing with that bullshit. Um, coming back off leave, and dang, did I go to the board before or after? I don't know. Did I go to the board? I don't know. Obviously, yeah, I can't let the timeline dictate the story. But picked up five, went to WLC, and things just felt different because guys were PCSing out, PCS again. Um, so I was getting chaptered out from the bullshitter that they did in Iraq. Um, back to the back to My bad, my brain be zapping out sometimes. The what am I trying to say? Just back to the reality of being a soldier and how I felt. Like I was a sergeant, and I'm all like, fucking. I felt like the shit, and just dealing with the transitions, and going back to the life of being a hoe in Germany, and getting ready for that decision of where's my next duty station going to be, because the only reason why if I didn't have a wife and kids at the time, I probably would have stayed in Germany. But then, everything worked out how it's supposed to, because, I would have ended up in Afghanistan. And, who knows, how that would have affected me mentally. I made the decision. I had I re-enlisted. Re-enlisted for 4 years, $5,000. Ended up getting three because the taxes taken out, and choosing Fort Carson over um, Fort Bliss. And so just getting into getting all that stuff, and how I was just preparing for that, and just having to go back mentally, just thinking about that shit. So I look forward to getting Red Lake Volume 3 done. I just want to get it done, and we'll see where it goes. Um, and then lastly, I got to tackle Red Lake Volume 4. And so Red Lake Volume 4 will be um, it'll be right after, leaving Germany, and it'll end with me, riding off to the sunset, leaving Colorado Springs. And trying to think, is there anything else to talk about this army shit? Nah, we ain't gonna push it. Man, that's been another episode of Red Leg. Y'all be great. Peace. Oh yeah, be careful what you post in uniform or out uniform. If you still, hey, if you want to talk about what the fuck you want to talk about, get your DD 214. I'm out.